Hey guys, welcome to another video in the Advanced Combat series. Today I'm going to cover stance dancing with dash and evasion attacks. So stance dancing isn't just the simple fluxing and whatnot, because that's pretty standard. And you know, just swapping your stances after you do some attack chains is frankly pretty normal. But I'm talking about goes beyond the scope of this. So I think this would be best illustrated by the spear. So the spear has an ability called spear stance change, which basically after you keep pulse in high stance or switch from it, you will get that little, as you saw, twirl, which is very handy. But sometimes you may not want to use it. So let's say, for example, I want to avoid it after a piercing rain, but I don't want to do the high stance dodge to cancel it. How can I go about doing this? So, believe it or not, it's fairly straightforward. In order to do this, all you need to do is just switch your stance prior to the animation ending. Once you're certain it's locked in, you can swap effortlessly. Jeez, my tongue. And the converse is also true. If you want, say, a spear stance change after, say, another attack chain in a different stance, all you have to do is just make sure that you keep pulse in high stance. So yeah, I'll do it one more time. Not a problem at all. And this basically allows you to get two mystic arts in one. So fluidity is basically what I was just showing you, but I'm not using it, I'm using stability. The fluidity allows you to spear stance change pretty much from any stance and combo into any stance from it. So with this little technique, you don't need this, you can just get stability. Because now, after every attack, you can spear stance change. No big deal. And then, of course, if you don't want it, you don't have to have it. So it's really awesome. And this isn't just exclusive to the spear, this applies to every weapon. So, one thing you might have seen some players do is say high stance strong into like a quick draw, and then seemingly getting a morning moon off without, say, having downtime of having to keep pulse and then switch or anything like that. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to display some stuff pertaining to the sword just for the sake of demonstration. So one last thing for you to know is that I'm sure you're familiar with backwave Tempest, in which you knock a person to the ground like that, but most of the time you won't see people doing Tempest. Now, using this information, I don't necessarily have to stay in mid or low stance to do this. I can basically do, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to do a high stance attack and then use my guard in mid stance. So let's demonstrate this. Right here. Oh my freaking god. I'm right here, man. I'm right here. Go. Yeah, I want to fight. I want to fight, man. Let's fight. That hurt. Attack me, man. Attack. Alright, check this out. Wasn't that beautiful? Yeah, that's pretty much it. There isn't really more to add. I wholeheartedly recommend that you incorporate the stance dancing, as this will segue into the next part of this video involving dash and evasion attacks. Next up is the dash and evasion attacks. So, dash attacks, I'm going to get started with that right away. Dash attacks are pretty straightforward. They're just your running attacks, and they differ depending on what stance you're in. This applies to, I believe, every single weapon, pretty sure. But they are very handy, and I wholeheartedly recommend that you incorporate them into your play. You can use these to obviously start out attack chains. They're pretty decent openers. And with the stance dancing that I mentioned prior, if you're quick enough, you can get the benefits of basically everyone without worrying about any downtime. And they're very, very fast. In fact, check how fast this low stance is. Assuming I can do it. Oh my god. You're not too shabby. They're quite fast compared to, say, you know, your normal skill moves. So they're worth investing a little bit of time into. Next up is evasion attacks. Evasion attacks are just basically your dodge attacks, and they come in pretty much two flavors, sometimes three. So the two major flavors are the dodge, like that. You get a certain type of attack with the little dodge right there. And then the other type is the roll. And what I was referring to, the third flavor, it's basically sometimes you'll get a different dodge attack if you roll forwards versus you roll back. The weapons that this applies to are dual swords, spear, sorry, not spear, so it's dual swords, odachi, and tonfa. The other weapons pretty much are all synonymous in terms of rolling back versus rolling forward. So what you can do with this information is you can combine the stance dancing so that you can start in high stance and end in mid stance with a nice combo ender. So let's say I do a roll back, I can basically do a mid stance combo ender. So I started high stance strong, did mid stance kick. And the reason for this is because high and mid stance both share the same roll attacks. They both roll, so of course you're going to get the same roll attacks, and as you might expect, you can do the same thing from low to mid stance since they both share a little dodge attack as such. So this can allow for some very, very interesting possibilities. So let me highlight one with, say, the spear. So I'll do a pretty fancy combo pretty soon, but as you check this out. Dodge. Oh, I didn't do it. Dodge. Pretty fancy, but that's not even all of it. So let's bring this schmuck over here, let him regain his ki, just for the sake of being my training dummy. So, wild spear, do a roll attack, end in water wheel, and spear stance change, and then proceed to murder this schmuck. It's beautiful, and I wholeheartedly recommend you give it a shot. So that's pretty much it for the dash and evasion attacks. You can start in high stance, end in mid stance, and you can do some very fast things. Let me debut it one more time against an unsuspecting enemy, and this time I won't do anything super fancy. I'll just show you the relative speed with dash attacks and evasion attacks. That's all I'm going to do. It's quite fast. And then for extra kicks, why not? Why not just do this? There's sort of meditation for you for extra kicks. But yeah, as you saw, just by incorporating those two techniques, I could play a drastically different way as opposed to just relying upon skills. So I wholeheartedly recommend that you incorporate the stance dancing with the dash and evasion attacks to really advance your play. That's going to be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you in the future, and I'll see everyone next time.